Hello, everyone. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. It's definitely a pleasure to stop back through. I had to definitely come on here due to Google Hangouts now resigning and going away. I just had to make one last post and do a live stream before Google Hangouts is no longer in existence. But first, I want to say what's up to the fight fans and everyone that's tuned in. You know what it is. Scotty White of World Combat Sports have a lot to talk about. Not just what the topic says about Dillian Whyte, Hearns, PEDs, gloves, communication gate. I'm gonna talk about, Baltimore, Maryland, seeing Tank Davis fight Ricardo Nunez and what it does to the upcoming shakeup in the division. You know, how does it look with Tank facing Tevin Farmer or Tank facing any of some prominent names that's out there from my assessment and seeing him fight in person for the first time? First thing first, Dillian Whyte and Jarrell Miller, though they're two different fighters, have absolutely caused chaos and mayhem in the heavyweight division at the wrong time, y'all. It was gathering up enough steam to have some pretty competitive fights with some pretty popular names in the heavyweight division. Instead of it being Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, all the time, and Anthony Joshua, it was going to be now Andy Ruiz, and then Jarrell Miller was supposed to step in there with Anthony Joshua, and then, Dillian Whyte was fighting for the mandatory for the WBC, and he just pulled the ripcord and just blew everything to pieces. What I don't like about what Dillian Whyte did was him and his team, and I'm finding out that Dillian Whyte just basically and blatantly, I know an investigation is still ongoing, but the deception to it all to compete in the heavyweight division, what he did was just prove the point that some of these guys talk a great game, but they're not able to go ahead and prove it. They feel that they need that extra edge, man. They need that extra juice to put them on a level of those who are out here winning. They may not have self-confidence. They may lack, you know, um, certain areas of their skill set to compete with another champion or to compete as a contender up to that championship. Who knows what the hell is going on through these guys' mind? But Dillian Whyte has been in there with Anthony Joshua before. Dillian Whyte won against Joseph Parker. Now the question is, was he clean against Joseph Parker? He went in there against Oscar Rivas, and it wasn't an easy go for him. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't. So he goes in here and gets dropped. And come to find out, not only did he pop for PEDs, but they knew ahead of time, I believe 2 days ahead of time. And the only information that was sent over to Team Oscar Rivas was there's an inquiry made into Dillian Whyte. And whatever happened in communication behind closed doors was this. It wasn't detailed enough to say, okay, it was drug related. So whoever made the phone call, we're not sure what the narrative was, but they did not let Oscar Rivas know the fine details of what transpired to this inquiry of Dillian Whyte. Then you have the glove gate. You know what I'm saying? You had the deflate gate. Now you have the glove gate. Once again, it's not the first time we had a glove gate. You know what I'm saying? We had a glove gate way back when it got Panama Lewis banned from the sport. His fighter Luis Resto, and that fighter Billy. And come to find out that, Luis Resto's gloves had padding removed. And, if Luis wouldn't have walked over there and shook the hand of Billy's dad, who was his trainer, and him touching the glove and finding out, okay, this feeling right here is quite different than what I'm used to. Y'all need to inspect the gloves. And that ended up getting both of those fighters, Panama Lewis, banned from the sport, and Luis Resto, both sent to incarceration for years. But anyway, back to Dillian Whyte. Somehow the gloves that he had, Oscar Rivas wasn't able or wasn't allotted the time nor the opportunity to check for the gloves. The gloves were absolutely different from the ones that was inspected. And then it narrowed down to a point where he didn't have enough time, or they didn't allow him to check the gloves initially. You know what I'm saying? After determining that the gloves were different than the ones they initially inspected. A lot of factors could have been, assumed or insinuated from this. The gloves could have been loaded. It could have been many factors determining variables, being that we having fighters lose their life, right? You never know what a fighter would stoop to. Dillian Whyte did not remove those gloves after the fight. He didn't want those gloves leaving his possession. And that right there tells me a lot about Dillian Whyte. It's just poor judgment on his part to ever gain respect from me after meeting him in person and thinking he was a pretty decent dude. They're coming over here juicing, then using different gloves that might have had some of the padding removed. I mean, we can make a whole lot of assumptions, man. And then they failed to communicate any of it to Oscar Rivas. And he's pretty lucky to have survived that fight in the heavyweight division, because the heavyweights, they hit the hardest. So what if Dillian Whyte would have had some loaded gloves? What if he had some loaded wraps like Antonio Margarita? It would have been bad all the way around for us to have a third tragedy in the ring. Dillian Whyte is currently suspended. He isn't banned. He's suspended. What's going on, everyone? Seneca J, salute, man. Thanks for dropping that World Combat Sports shout out. You know what it is. Yasser Hussein, man, salute to you, bro. Pittsburgh T, British boxing is a joke. Hey, man, I can't disagree with you, Pittsburgh. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let y'all know one thing. I was in some groups, several groups. I'm not and will not give them any shine. But when I was talking about Anthony Joshua, how big he looked, at 254, how him and Carlos Takam agreed to a weight of 235. And Anthony Joshua came in there all jacked up. I said, man, Joshua seemed like he ain't clean, man. And then come to find out, he had to come across the pond to the U.S. He started getting smaller, and then he started looking less impressive. Now you got the BOC, British Boxing Board of Commissions. They're sitting up here allowing this bout to take place. They're sitting up here knowing ahead of time what is going on. They're shady as shit, man. They're shady. What I've been saying about this in groups, and you got them punk ass, bitch ass admins that want to kick you out the group because they want to jump on. Some of these groups are ran by UK admins, and some are ran by, US admins. But they want to kick your ass out the group because you was talking about Anthony Joshua and the obvious. Now the shit is coming out. This shit is coming out. People are now talking about how the referee was interfering. Even Bob Arum is talking about the shit. How the referee stopped the Carlos Takam fight prematurely. How the referee stopped Vladimir Klitschko and Anthony Joshua in the 11th round when Vladimir was still on his feet. How the referee interfered with Joshua and Parker in their title bout for the WBO championship. All the shit is coming full circle, fight fans. All of it. And it's real. It's 1000% real that this shit has been going on and Eddie's been trying to get away with it. He just fucked around and selected the wrong fighter to step in there with Anthony Joshua. The rest of it, you remember when he tried to insert Dillian Whyte after that fight with, I believe, Lucas Brown? He tried to insert him in there to say, Deontay, where you at? Let's do it. Instead of advocating for himself to fight for the titles again. Do y'all remember that? So now Dillian Whyte is fighting for the WBC mandatory. Obviously, he wasn't quite sure he can go in there and get the shit done. I mean, this has been going on for goddamn several months, years, for him to try to get a title shot, become the mandatory. When it came out that he was going to fight Luis Ortiz, he didn't like it. Why I got to fight Tyson Fury? He didn't like it. Everybody that Dillian Whyte was put up against, he didn't appreciate, he didn't like it. He didn't sign off on it. Now he gets a chance against Oscar Rivas. He struggled big time, and he wasn't clean, y'all. So what does that say about the sport? That says that PEDs just doesn't get the job done like people think. It's dangerous in certain aspects because it may allow a fighter to have the advantage to take more punishment and to keep on driving and pressuring and landing punches. But Oscar Rivas was fighting a dirty fighter. Oscar Rivas should be reimbursed. He should have that particular fight reversed to a no contest. That loss shouldn't go on his record. And also, he should be paid a fine from Dillian Whyte's purse. Y'all agree or disagree? Let me know. Seneca J said Eddie Hearn needs to be fired. Man, Seneca, man, I never had any favor. But check this out, Seneca. That's a good point. We're saying Eddie Hearn needs to be fired. But in the power play of boxing, it's so political. And the Hearns have been in the boxing game for quite some time. It's going to be very difficult to get them out of the sport because they're over in the UK. So the placement is, and the Fury are definitely going to come over here from the US, right? But we're going to have no persuasion to the BBBOC. They're not going to listen to us because the Hearns run that shit. Eddie Hearns has a lot on his shoulders right now. Believe me when I tell you, man, Hearns took that L with Anthony Joshua, and he's trying to get Andy Ruiz to come over there to the UK so he can set him up for the okie doke. Then Dillian Whyte popped positive. Now he's been removed from the WBC mandatory. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure where he's going to rank right now. I'm not sure where they're going to have this man ranked. I really don't give a damn. I could tell you like this. I'll tell you, like I said the whole time before, that Deontay Wilder would have beat Dillian Whyte just the same. Deontay Wilder would have knocked out Dillian Whyte just the same, with or without the PEDs. Pittsburgh say that secret hearing they had before the fight only in the UK. Yeah, man, that secret hearing, it goes on in the US too. But it wouldn't have been so ex parte, so to speak, one-sided bias, where people were sitting up there just holding back or being so reserved with the information. They should have gave them the entire subject of matter. That means if Dillian Whyte popped positive, that should have been relayed over to Oscar Rivas and provided him the opportunity to see if he still wanted to fight. That wasn't allotted to him. Now it's deception, cheating, and everything else that goes along with this shit. Seneca say if they do a fair forensic test on Dillian Whyte, a hair forensic test on Dillian Whyte, he would be banned for life. Damn. Hey, we still got to wait for that B sample, people. We have to wait for that B sample. More or extensive punishment may be coming, may be pending for Dillian Whyte. And I don't have no remorse or sympathy for Dillian Whyte, man, because he's been talking and talking and talking. And he gets the opportunity, and this motherfucker cheating. That's just like the news I'm hearing about Jarrell Miller and his coach, Mr. Kite, said that Jarrell Miller was telling him that he was going to cheat on the lead up to Joshua. And he's saying that he was basically trying to talk him out of it. He was trying to be the voice of reasoning and saying, Jarrell, don't do it, man. You don't need it. Just sit up, just have a good camp and you'll be okay. And Jarrell Miller was sitting up there telling him what he was going to do. That's just absurd, is it not? You know what I'm saying? Isn't that shit absurd? For Jarrell Miller to actually break confidentiality and tell a coach. And now the coach is throwing him up under the train. The coach is letting the boxing public know that it was premeditated, it was malicious, and it was with ill intent for freaking Jarrell Miller to juice up and go in there and fight Anthony Joshua. Unfreaking believable. Pittsburgh say BBC should be disbanded also. You know, the one thing about the BOC, right, is that they're UK, they're British, they're English, whatever you want to call it, right? So I'm not sure as to how it's gonna bleed over into the repercussions to the US market of boxing. Because though the US may have boxers come over here, you know what I'm saying? Just like we have boxers go over there. Now, there may be a stipulation or a sustainment for all fighters to go over there and fight under their rules. You know, many fighters went over there and won. You know what I'm saying? Many fighters have. Errol Spence went over there in a tough fight. You know what I'm saying? Several fighters have went over to the UK and picked up a strap. Vasily Lomachenko is headed over there to face Luke Campbell really soon. And, you know, Bob Arum said he's concerned about that because he believed they're going to juice Lomachenko out of a belt. Seneca said, Big Baby, Pop, Dillian Pop, and AJ on testosterone exemptions. Therapeutic. Let's underscore that. Therapeutic. That's the wholesome name. The wholesome name they use. Therapeutic exemptions. All Eddie Hearn crew. Yeah, man, you're right, Seneca. You're right. All Eddie Hearn shit, bro. You're right, man. They're getting away with murder over there in the UK. But it's all coming to the surface now. You can't hold that shit underwater for that amount of time. That shit's gonna goddamn buoy up to the surface, and we all gonna see what's going on. And that's exactly what's going on right now. I'm glad too. All these fair weather, casual boxing fans that want to kick people out of the groups and try to act like the UK the best thing going. Eddie Hearns come out with a $1 billion deal for the zone, and people actually believe it's 1 billion. You know what I'm saying? It's just absurd to no end, man. We have some gullible fight fans over here that want everything to just overcast the US market when it comes to boxing. Stop it, man. Come on, man. Stick for what worked. I know the US, we have our history of freaking scandals and shit like that. But we're talking about a place where fighters are going and we're not dictating the referee. You know what I'm saying? We're not dictating a whole lot of measures that take place. And we just had these fighters die. And then we have Hearns and them over here juicing the fighters and not making Oscar Rivas aware of the tests, the findings, not making him aware of the gloves. All of it, man. It's bad. Pittsburgh say boxing in some aspects is a joke. Victor Conte is still running a snack program. Listen, Victor Conte is running a program of supplements which was approved, and somebody allowed him to come back from the Balco or whatever, Balco scandal or whatever, with being a distributor of PEDs. They allow him to come back. You can't blame anybody except the people who cleared him. Money talks. People want to make a big deal about PEDs, and they sit up here and allow this man to return with the supplement nutrition and allow him to be able to cater to boxers, professional athletes at that. I'm pretty sure he had to go through all these tests. But man, get out of here. This motherfucker wasn't banned. This motherfucker went shit. He got a light punishment, and then he back in the shop working. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you close down one chop shop and they open up another one down the street. You close down that one, they open up another one. And get out of here, man. They didn't do enough for that dude. People are, I'm sponsored by Snack. I'm sponsored by Snack. Who's run that? Victor Conte. Oh, okay. That's the dude that was in the Balco scandal, huh? All right. Well, freaking Marion Jones, got banned from track for life. All those people that lied and said they was clean and they wasn't. Anyway, Dillian Whyte should be suspended for a long ass time because this is not his first offense. He's a repeat offender and he should be dealt with accordingly. Jarrell Miller, I mean, when you pop for 2 to 3 substance, and lucky for him, he wasn't licensed. The loopholes that goes along with that, I'm not sure if he was in fact aware. I'm pretty sure. I'm not even gonna sit up here and play stupid. I'm pretty sure Jarrell Miller was aware his license was inactive. You know what I'm saying? So he felt if it was repercussion, it wouldn't be as extensive as it would have been if he would have had an active license. So he wasn't a fighter at the time. He wasn't even licensed to compete. He probably would have applied for his license closer as the fight dated. The calendar date came up, and then he would have applied. Either way it goes, he fucked up. He fucked up, man. They need to do more. Stop sitting up here giving all these visuals and posts and everything, and then we're not taking in consideration to blast these neighboring fighters when they fuck up. Don't sit up here and blast the US fighters when something happened. Like you want to blast Canelo Alvarez when he popped for clenbuterol, but if it's a UK fighter, we're not taking that same type of energy. We need to take that same energy, man. Take that same energy. These media outlets on here that's always trying to stay cool with Eddie Hearns and get the interview so you ain't saying too much. Come on, man. Keep it a buck. Some of y'all out here keeping quiet about fights that's coming up and there's no drug testing, and you all overlooking that shit like a comma. Like a comma in a sentence. Y'all just skipping over that shit like nothing. Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, no violent testing, and no one want to talk about it. All they want to talk about, well, are we going to see Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather? Are we going to see Manny Pacquiao? Who else? Oh, he's one of the greatest to ever do it. He's one of the best ever. We love Manny Pacquiao. I respect Manny Pacquiao's feat. 8 divisions. I respect that wholeheartedly. I respect what he's done in the sport, all of it. But when there is drug testing in this professional sport that kills, that a fighter can take extensive depth of punishment and impact his brain, him and her brain, with certain ounce of gloves throughout a period of how many rounds that is allocated to that particular fighter. We should take it serious when it comes to fighters trying to achieve an advantage by taking PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, man. We should take note of that. That's real. In track, I think a minimal suspension is 2 years. Just ask Justin Gatlin that. Justin Gatlin, I think he was a repeat offender. But now he's back and he's been winning and he's been clean. The Carl Lewis and Ben Johnson scandal. I remember seeing that race and I was like, Ben Johnson moving out. Dude cannot be clean. Not on Carl Lewis like that. No way. And come to find out he was dirty. Pittsburgh T say, Victor Conte got a promotion. If anything, nobody talks about that enough. But boxing, the only professional sport he could get into after Balco. Nothing should be surprised boxing fans. Nothing. Yeah, man, I agree. Motherfuckers want to sit up here and act like PEDs don't exist in bodybuilding. PEDs exist in professional athletics across the board. People just don't want to make the insinuation or the assumption to piss people off and cause unnecessary attention to them when they know this shit is going on. It's going on in college. It's going on in professional ranks. It's going on even in the freaking high school. Please, these kids are preparing themselves to be standouts. Some of these kids in high school that are standouts and they have above average gifted ability. Some of them may be on that shit. They would do it all the way up to college and hope they're able to get on a workout regime or a training regime to take them to the next level. Period. Because they start testing. They start testing, man. But that's true, Pittsburgh. You know, Victor Conte, he got over. You know, I can say many things that go along with that. You know, under the table handshakes. You know what I'm saying? Brushing elbows with the right people. Power. All that stuff that goes along. But don't act like the shit is not in bodybuilding. You think bodybuilders get that big and that jacked up by eating broccoli and motherfucking complex carbs and beef? Hell no. You can read about that shit in the magazine. It ain't nothing new. This shit been going on since Arnold Schwarzenegger days. He even said it. You know what I'm saying? This fight is way. I mean, it's bodybuilders, athletes, all way back in the day that told you about that shit. Ain't nobody saying nothing about that. Point blank, period. But with this boxing game, man, I hope these fighters get the necessary punishment. And I hope the sport somehow, in boxing, of course, don't overlook this shit when we have fighters that's been dying for quite some time. Just like Ray Mancini. You know, Ray Mancini, the fighter that he fought, you know, ended up dying in the ring. You know? Boxing is a dangerous sport. It's the hurt business for a reason. It's serious. It's a tough, combative, authoritative sport. It's all about who can be domineering either consistently or just enough to disrupt the rhythm of the fighter periodically throughout the entire fight to earn a victory. That's how it's supposed to go down. Some are much more lethal and domineering than others. And then, of course, we get to see the sweet science and have some fighters just box to win a decision. But either way it goes, they take punishment, y'all. They take motherfucking punishment. Pittsburgh say, I saw an interview with a person Pacquiao tried to say Nevada testing is the same as VADA. Cost a contract VADA to test. Mofos fall for anything. Hey, man, solid point, man. Real talk. That's a solid point because we all know Vegas, man. Vegas is Sin City for many reasons, man. Vegas is Vegas. Everything is a gamble. According to how much money you got, how much prestige, how much popularity, how much seniority, you know, all that plays a role in boxing. Boxing is a business first. And for them to schedule this recent bout with Keith Thurman, it's just unacceptable. Don't try to say after testing that Manny Pacquiao was freaking tested 3 times. Why are they going to pay for drug testing when it's no drug testing? If it's no drug testing in the contract, why is Manny Pacquiao team is going to spend money out their pocket to pay for drug testing? It just doesn't happen like that, man. Y'all need to stop that. Y'all need to stop trying to give Manny Pacquiao a freaking pass all the time. When have Manny Pacquiao sit up here and dropped a fighter that's never been dropped at this age? Come on, we ain't talking about Lucas Matisse. He didn't drop Adrian Broner, not one freaking time. And it's the question if he was clean in that fight. He goes over here and drop Keith Thurman that never been dropped before. He's doing the Ali shuffle. He's going around round after round, looking fairly decent to the latter half of the fight. Seemed like he was, you know, fatiguing a bit, but the damage was already done. He was already a cushion, you know, had a cushion lead, and he was able to pick up the title. Now I did talk to Floyd Mayweather's trainer, one of his I wouldn't say trainers, but team Mayweather, Dejon Blake. Cool cat, man. Been in the game for quite some time, man. Really cool dude. And I asked him in the interview, I said, are we going to be able to see or any talks of Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao too? And of course, when these people say, okay, it's no official word has been announced, they're going to keep it cover and conceal. They're going to keep it to themselves, man. They're going to keep the confidentiality. And he said, nah, he's enjoying retirement. He's doing this. Look, I've asked people, is this fight taking place? No, that fight ain't taking place. And what happened? They come out with an announcement because fighters cannot break the news, especially to outlets, media outlets that they don't trust. You know what I'm saying? That's the code. That's the code, man. I'm pretty sure some of these other outlets that's very popular, I'm pretty sure they get the info. I've received info on some fights that was taking place ahead of time, but for integrity purpose, I couldn't release the information. So it's just for my own knowledge to have, and then when the official announcement take place, I can speak on it. But unless you're in good and you have freaking how you put it, seniority with the trust factor, with the source, that they say, okay, we're telling you this ahead of time so you can leak it. All right. Somewhat like you can say what Boxing Scene did. Someone gave Boxing Scene a heads up about Dillian Whyte, and Boxing Scene did an article and released it first. That is why Eddie Hearns is trying to take litigation against Boxing Scene for false or defamatory or defamation, whatever they want to say on that. So I'm curious to see how that shit's going to play out. I'm curious to see how that shit's going to play out. Because once again, we have Eddie Hearns trying to cover himself, and it's looking all bad for them. The gloves that wasn't inspected, it wasn't the same glove that was inspected. A dirty fighter. And Dillian Whyte really put in a smudge on his last name because nothing about him represents. That's why his name in itself is quite different than the actual spelling than the color white. I'm just being a little facetious, but I'm just saying. Dillian Whyte, the fans he did not have before, he even have less now. That's serious. That's real as it get. Now, Anthony Joshua, who has been on the outskirts, people have their suspicion, speculation, but he hasn't been, popped yet or whatever. He lost wholeheartedly. So in Anthony Joshua's loss, to be honest, he may have lost a little bit of fan, but I think a lot of people felt sorry for Anthony Joshua because they want to support him so bad. They want him to be the best in the sport. All these people want to get behind him because of how he is and the way he speaks, and they're trying to basically fabricate a boxer who they believe should look like a heavyweight champion. That's why so many people got behind Anthony Joshua, even though they knew his flaws. The dude was chinny, he was robotic, and he really wasn't that devastating of a puncher. His only punch that he used in the Klitschko fight was that uppercut. He tried that shit 6 times, people. 6 times with Joseph Parker and missed. He even tried one time, a couple of times on the referee break. He even grabbed Joseph Parker behind the head one time and tried to shoot the uppercut. And give it up for Joseph Parker. He survived. He was in there to survive. Because when he lost his title, guess what? He didn't look too perturbed about it. Serious. But that was a good point, Pittsburgh. That was a good point. I mean, they want to believe that Vegas and Bada and all this other shit is the same, and it's gonna be full of integrity, morals, and principles. You out your damn mind. Seriously, you're out your mind. Next, Sean Porter and Errol Spence, man. The pluses and minuses to what I see to the lead up of this Errol Spence and Sean Porter fight is that Errol Spence isn't playing the nice guy. He never has and never will. He has forced Sean Porter to step up and be the bad guy too. He forced him. Because before, when Errol Spence, when Sean Porter won his fight with Danny Garcia, he's gonna say this is the easiest fight to make, and the shit didn't happen. He went in there and fought your Ugas, right? He said this would be the easiest fight to make. Now the fight is actually have a date attached to it. Now Sean Porter is like, man, this fight isn't going to be close. This fight isn't going to be close. That's what Sean Porter is saying. This fight isn't going to be close. People underestimating the dog in me. I got heart to give. That's Sean Porter. Now he coming out. Unlike Keith Thurman, who really never responded to Errol Spence until his fight with Pacquiao, probably because he knew he was going to lose. But now Sean Porter is stepping up and telling the people, this fight isn't going to be close like you think. I'm going to make that shit look easy. I don't believe that shit. And those of you that's tuned in, I'm pretty sure you don't believe it either. Unless you're a diehard Sean Porter fan. And it's some out there. Unless you a diehard Sean Porter fan. Right now, the way Errol Spence looked against Mikey Garcia, the way he looked against Kell Brook, Lamont Peterson. You know what I'm saying? We can't really include Carlo Ocampo because he was extracted from the bottom barrel and somehow got a shot at Errol Spence. Come on, let's be real. He was finished in the first round. But besides that, do you have an understanding? Maybe somebody can tell me. Do you think you have an understanding as to what style Sean Porter is going to fight Errol Spence with? Is it going to be the same one he did with Ugas? Or it's going to be the way he fought Danny Garcia? Who are we looking at? Is it going to be a brawl, all-out scrap like he had with Adrian Granados? You tell me what you think. What do you think? I just think Errol Spence and Sean Porter will indeed throw down. It's going to be physical. It will be dirty, aggressive, authoritative. It will be dogmatic. Somebody's getting cut. And I'm pretty sure the referee is going to pause the fight periodically to lecture the fighters to keep it clean. That's what I see. I believe this fight is going to be extremely well placed with a referee that can control the action. Point blank, period. Because you have two dogs in there. I don't care what nobody say. Sean Porter is a dog. Sean Porter got dog in him. Errol Spence got dog in him. Serious. Them two going in there. I can't see Sean Porter going in there any other way except the way he fought Adrian Granados. If he tried to use that in and out box early rounds like he did Danny Garcia, that shit ain't gonna work with Errol Spence, man. Because Errol Spence don't wait like Danny Garcia. He doesn't sit there procrastinating like DSG. Errol Spence use and work behind the jab. Double up, triple, whatever you want to call it. He works an effective, stinging, piercing jab. No one can tell me Sean Porter's jab is better than Errol Spence. No way, no how, man. Don't even try it. Don't even try it, man. But it's gonna be a good fight, and I really hope everything works out. No injuries. I really want a unification to happen in the welterweight division, and we still have a ways to go. It's in September. So, we're about to venture over in August, and we got a long month. So during that time, Sean Porter said he's been in training already. Sean Porter has been in training already. So what he was basically trying to say is that Errol Spence still look like he's several pounds over 147. You know what I'm saying? So he was trying to make an insinuation that when he seen Errol Spence in the restaurant, he said, you need to get on some soup and salad. You better get on some soup and salad. You know what I'm saying? And you're right, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh T said Porter never beat a top 3 in his weight class. You're right, man. I mean, every time Porter attempted to step up, we're not talking about Adrian Broner. We're talking about Kell Brook, who took his title. Then he stepped in there with Keith Thurman. You know what I'm saying? This is his toughest test yet. Errol Spence and the energy that's behind, the hype behind Errol Spence, the way he looked against Mikey Garcia, boxing his motherfucking ears off, punishing Mikey Garcia. And I truly think he shouldn't come back this early if indeed he's scheduled to fight soon, because he took a lot of punishment from a puncher. You know what I'm saying? So Sean Porter, he's going to bring the dog, man. He's going to go in there and give it what he can. I have Errol Spence winning that fight. And I always put it like this. I'm not sure if you all, render in the same type of, I don't know, results. But Adrian Broner was able to drop Sean Porter in the 12th round. And Adrian Broner isn't a puncher like Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? And Adrian Broner isn't a puncher like Keith Thurman, but Keith Thurman never dropped Sean Porter after landing some hard, flush shots on Sean Porter. Danny Garcia, too. Danny Garcia hit Sean Porter with flush right hand, overhand right, and he didn't go down. But Adrian Broner can have bragging rights on Manny Pacquiao a little bit, because Manny Pacquiao didn't drop him. So that's what Adrian Broner trying to say, like, make the fight. I'll fight you at 144. But if you look at my video, when I was just in Baltimore, Adrian Broner is nowhere close to 140. Adrian Broner is nowhere close to 147. Dude has been drinking and eating good. And I can say that and not making it up, because I'm not the only one putting those pictures up. Adrian Broner has a lot of fans where he goes, man. People love to gravitate to Adrian. One thing I say about him, he doesn't switch up. He sticks to his persona, and that persona is AB. Period. Broner. That's what he do, man. He came in there with no shirt on, with a vest jacket, hat turned back, with his boys. Robert Easter was walking behind him. If you see the video, I mean, hey, that's AB, man. I respect him for being him. But as a fighter, he just don't go in there and give it his all, man. He got a gift of a draw with Jesse Vargas. And then he came in here in Pacquiao, and he wanted to convince the people, while he was convincing himself, that he defeated Manny Pacquiao. But anyway, I just feel that Sean Porter can be dropped again. It just takes the right punch placement. You know what I'm saying? That's what it takes. And that's what I'm saying. I believe that Sean Porter can be dropped again. But it's tough. Dude has a respectable goddamn chin. Pittsburgh say Mikey Garcia and the snack program, he recovering just fine. Yeah, for real, Mikey Garcia covering just fine. Shit. The bruising went down, and goddamn Victor said, "Hey, you need a supply, homie?" It's like, sí, amigo. Okay, say no more. Mañana. So goddamn shit. Mikey Garcia healed real good. But on Sean Porter and Errol Spence, man, I can't wait for the fight. It's gonna be a thriller. I just don't think it's gonna do the numbers that people believe it's gonna do. You know what I'm saying? That's just me, because It's a lot of people that's not, a Sean Porter fan. Serious. Like, who is backing Sean Porter when it comes to Errol Spence? Who? Where, I'm serious. Errol Spence has a fan base. He does. But who is backing Sean Porter, especially after his last two performances? Who? Who is coming to see Sean Porter? A lot of people are showing up for Errol Spence, but when you want to break records, when you want to equate or equal records, you have to have two people together to encompass the end state. That means to bring the butts to the seats and their revenue and the buys to get those solid numbers at the end that are respectable to rank at the top. The reigning fighters that's already up there. You have to have two people to make that happen. Anthony Joshua, Vladimir, they sold out Wembley because of Vladimir Klitschko and Anthony Joshua. If Vladimir Klitschko was there, Anthony Joshua wouldn't have sold that shit out. He only sold out Wembley once. And that's because he had Vladimir Klitschko. Before that, he fought a fighter called Matt Legg in Wembley, didn't sell it out. Then sell it out when he fought Alexander Povetkin. So it goes without saying, man. You got to have two fighters that are very popular to the fight fans, very competitive, very interesting. They have to leave some intrigue and some suspense to the matchup so people can say, you know what, so-and-so might get beat. And somebody else say, nah, fuck that. So-and-so going to get knocked out. You have to have that intrigue, man. Just like Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor was up there because two-division champion, right? He had stopped Jose Aldo in 13 seconds. And he had defeated the underground king, the man himself, Eddie Alvarez, who's been a champion in every organization that he's competed in. So when he stepped up to fight Floyd Mayweather, people were really sipping on that motherfucking soup. It was like, Conor McGregor, oh, he's gonna fuck Mayweather up. Have you seen him fight? He knocked out one of the best to ever do it in mixed martial arts, Jose Aldo, in 13 seconds. You saying he can't knock out Floyd? Oh, yeah, he gonna do it. And people bought into that shit. And Floyd made that shit look simple. Whenever Floyd chose to close it down, he did. It's boxing, man. You ain't punching and setting up a kick. Did you see the collage of just goddamn distorted technical skills when it came to just all out boxing from Conor McGregor? The hammer punches that he was landing on Floyd that was illegal, and the referee was letting that shit go. Floyd Mayweather's turning his back around shit we ain't never seen him do to carry the rounds. Floyd Mayweather was carrying Conor McGregor. He was turning his back to a contender, which Floyd Mayweather doesn't have to do. Conor McGregor was rabbit punching the shit out of Floyd. The fans actually believe an 0-0 boxer can come over here and defeat one of the best defensive magicians and boxers of this era, Floyd Money Mayweather, for $100 motherfucking dollars. God damn, Torres. What's good, man? Shout out to my man, Torres Savage, man. Damn. Haven't seen you in a minute, man. What you been up to, bro? What you been up to, Torres? Because you've been out. I haven't seen you in probably like 2 or 3 months, man. What's been good? It's crazy, but that's a good point, Pittsburgh T. You know what I'm saying? Porter never be the top 3, and then Mikey Garcia recovering. It is what it is, man. But I'm glad that battle is taking place. Errol Spence and Sean Porter looking for unification. And then, Bob Arum, it's an interview or a presser that was out with Bob Arum that's over there with Eddie Hearns, and he was really digging into Eddie Hearns, man. He was verbal assaulting Eddie Hearns. And his excuse was like, just because, hey, I grew up in the business with his dad. I knew Eddie before he even knew what he was doing. I knew him then. So now, just because I criticize him, don't mean I'm not or should not do business with him. You know what I'm saying? I can criticize him. I've been in the sport as long as I have. If something's fucked up, I can criticize just like people do for me. He was making it known, like, I don't have to sit up here and water down my comments to freaking Eddie Hearns. The shit he's doing is blatant, and his fighters should be punished. And in so many words, Eddie Hearns should be too. There's no other way to put it. No other way to put it, man. No other way to put it. Hold on for a second. Hey, y'all hold on for a second. All right. I'm back.